Right, I'll just video a little bit in case we need it for later. So this is John's house. There's John. Gonna give us a wave then. We've come to look at his Heta Ambition that he's having a few little issues with, or not. We'll soon find out. It might just be fuel or technique. That's perfectly okay. House is quite interesting. It's a beautiful old cottage, but I'm just wondering if with these roofs on other side and what we've got round the back, if there could potentially be some downdraft issues, especially the way that the wind could hit this off the fields, because he's been getting some intermittent issues. So there's a lot of open ground over this side. Oh, there's a deer over there. And up there, you can see there's several different roofs here. There's Velux windows. If I can get further back, we'll have that's better. So, potentially, because that chimney is in between two apexes, and the way that the air could come off over that roof, and the location of these buildings and the height of the pitches on these, I've known issues before where in the wrong weather conditions, the wind could come over the top of this one and down that flue. And if I can't get this to play, or it's intermittently not playing nicely, be a job that might need Ashley and one of his flue cubes, because I've got a high suspicion, having come here, and I've shown this gentleman how to run a stove before, that it could be intermittent and weather related. Right. Interesting. So we'll go and get the stuff out the car and see what it does. We're up outside this, and I brought a load of wooden bits and pieces, fire lighters, moisture meters, kiln dry birch, some ash and some sycamore. Everything's nice and dry, and we will see. I don't actually like ash and sycamore, but I brought that to make a point. And some kiln dried logs in birch, which is what I normally burn. And we're going to, because these fires are brilliant. I like Ambitions. I've got two myself. My mum and dad have got one. And when you get to know them, they're just great. So let's go feed them. Stunning. Traditional Norfolk, Suffolk pink, isn't it?
Yes, I love that colour.
But the, isn't that beautiful? I mean, that's tiny detail as well.
That
it's
bit
not
in the middle,
big.
I bought that in a junk shop, but all the rest is Pargeting.
What, the piece with the tree?
Yeah,
is it a tree? Is it a vine?
It's a vine, I think. Yeah, I bought that in a junk shop.
You can see it better closer. It's amazing what you can pick up.
I know.
They're beautiful. I mean, there's some serious skill in that. I saw a guy at Design 21 doing demonstrations last year, and he did hairs and things. I can sculpt and cake and stuff. I'd love to be able to do that sort of stuff. I think that's a new habit, a new hobby for me potentially. I'd love to do that. He's gorgeous. So I've got a picture of that, we could use it. So John has kindly said, and I'll let him look at this first anyway, that we can do a wee bit of video and see if we can help everybody else as well. So this is John's Heta Ambition, which started off at ground level, and then we've since come back and put it on a log store for him to give him a bit more height. And he's got plenty of wood here, and he did tell me he was buying kiln dried and he chopped them all up small for starting. And he has. They're dry as a bone. Absolutely dry as a bone. There's nothing wrong with any of that at all. And they're all cut nice and small, so it's got nothing to do with the size. But what we've got here is one of the first vermiculite bases I cut before I made a nice job of them. But he's got the cast base in, and I think it will massively help him get a lot more power out of this by changing the base. Because John reckons it's smoking him out the way he's been trying to light it. But we have been putting the kindling on the bottom rather than the top. That's alright. I'm just going to change the base and this. I wasn't facing the right way, so I thought I'd do it again. Find my camera.
So what are you doing on the front of
We've got tea coming, which is lovely. So we put this on a log store for John to give him a bit more height, because originally it was on the floor. And I've had a look at his fuel, and it's all really nice, kiln dried, mainly birch. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with this at all, and it's all cut to precisely the right size. But he has got the cast iron base in, and I'm going to swap that over to one of the new vermiculite ones, and we'll get it running on this, because that will give it a lot more power and a lot more lift to get it started better. So, well, that won't help, but there's a lot of this flue is only a month or so old, but there's a lot of deposit coming down in here. So I'm just taking the panels out to change them over, and I'll have a quick look anyway. But we'll give this a brush. So this is the cast base, the old one that I'm going to have out the inside. So John's been struggling lighting this, and he's even had his next door neighbour come to try, and he didn't do well either. And you filled the full place full of smoke, didn't you, John?
Sorry?
You had it full of smoke.
Yes, yes.
So you just struggled to get it going. They've all struggled to get it going. So we're just going to put this stuff in, and there's nothing wrong with John's wood or the size that he's cut it to. It's just doing it a wee bit differently, and changing the base will make it a lot easier. His chimney's an awkward one outside because the way the roof's in river run, and because the way the wind's going to come over the back. I think that the roof will make it slightly harder for him than anything, but this will be no trouble. And I've already assured him I will fix it if it isn't, because I don't leave people stranded. Right, okay, so let's have a look. And then the thing is, I can send this to John, and then he can see and he can watch his own video back again.
Discount as well, because they took a big
I'll fix everything. No, you're still keeping that anyway, so, but I will sort everything out. Right, okay, so these small ones, which is about the same sort of size as you've got cut, 4 of them is about 1 to 1.2 kilos. And we want to start with 4 small lugs on the bottom, 2 and then 2 across, just to get it up to temperature and build the height, because it's a big high door. And then the kindling on top of that. 3 and 1 fire lighter, and then 2. And then 3 on top. And this is just pallet wood, but it's nice and dry. There's nothing wrong with pallet wood as kindling. I like pallet wood as kindling. Right? So we've got all our stuff here. And our tea. Have we got any matches, John? Ah, they're right next to it. Can't see, thanks for looking at it. Right, so there's no cheating. Where is the... We're just lighting it on the inside. Right. So we've got that lit. We've got the air vent fully open. The door slightly ajar, just a tiny bit.
That drawer,
Yeah.
to me, is very, very poor, because
You give it a minute, because we were doing
if
it
I'd
this
done
week.
that with mine,
Yeah.
that would, within 2 minutes,
Yeah.
I'd be putting the big bits of wood on.
Well,
That
I
would
don't.
raw.
I want it to start going slow. So we start from the top up, and it builds. We're burning this, but what we're wanting to do is we start on these big doored stoves where the floor is way down in the inside. We're starting it off slowly. So the fire lighter is going to catch the kindling and take the first level only to start with, to start pre-warming it. Because as you've got cold in there, what it does is, as the hot meets the cold, you start getting a bit of condensation. So it dries off the condensation before any smoke can stick to the glass. And then every time it catches a layer, it's going to gain with pressure and intensity to take the heat up. So we've got an increase. We want to start it off slow and then build the pressure. We'll soon find out, and if he's not happy with it, he's not happy with it. That's when I'll be happy, because I get to fix it no matter what. So I don't leave people not happy, not happening. So we'll just see. So as soon as that catches that next layer, which is just about to do, I'll close the door in just a minute. It's going. We're just now going to watch it and wait. Right, so there we go. It's taken the first layer, and it started taking the second, which is at what point I shut the door. And quite literally now, until that inside is all back to cream and it's burnt that pile down, which is going to be half an hour, 40 minutes, till it's ready to reload. We just wait, and by then, nothing's going to come out that door. First time, every time, without fail. And I'm confident it will. As long as John's then happy with it, then I'm happy with it. Yeah, it's just half of it with these is technique, but it does make it a lot easier with the vermiculite base, which is why I've been changing everybody over to a vermiculite base. We're now up to, we're getting up to hate.
You never
the
see a fat
inside.
Native American, you never.
We're just talking about meat and diets and carbs and no sugar and trying to get off the sugar. Sugar is my name. Is
nice now.
yeah, I like a Malteser.
to remember what to do.
Right, okay, so we're just looking at this now and it is starting to clear. There's still some deposit in the top right hand side at the moment till the baffle clears, but it's taken away quite nicely. So
It's quite black underneath, isn't it?
yeah, but that'll all burn off. That's all burn
Yeah.
off as it gets into temperature. It's just starting to heat up. And it's looking okay at the minute. So I'm just going to set this through a reload, let John reload it, make sure he's happy with it with just 1-2 small logs in it. And then let him play with the air control once it's up at temperature. And then he can have another go tomorrow on his own. And
Yeah,
then
you'll have to
I'll
have a
come
go
back up
tomorrow.
and
Oh,
then,
you'll be all right. Yeah,
and then I'll come back and see him and make sure he's all happy.
yeah, I'll be all right.
But so far, we're doing all right. It's running perfectly now. Right, just a little outtake. Now I'm home because somehow I managed to delete some of my video clips the other day and I haven't got them all to finish John's video. But basically, John had been struggling with smoke coming into his room and turned out they were putting the kindling in the bottom, not the top. It's just a change in technique, which showing everybody how to do it, but it's easy to go back to old habits. And when you've done it for years and years and years with the kindling in the bottom rather than the top, and it's what you're used to, sometimes people forget. It's just different technology and things have changed and moved on from what they were, and kindling on the top works far, far better at pushing the cold air out the chimney. It just starts a bit slower, looks a bit boring to start with, but if they gather speed and momentum so much quicker, pushes all the smoke out the chimney. And we burnt that stove, opened the door, there was no smoke coming out, reloaded it, did the same thing again. And then I noticed the door handle wasn't quite latching just as tight as I would like. So yeah, I waited till it cooled down, came back, tightened it up again, just made sure it was all aligned, had another test fire with John, let him light it, and it burned beautifully, checked it all over again, asked him to come back and confirm for me a few days later, as you'll see in a second, and he's confirmed all it's hunky-dory and it's running just lovely. So that's what I like to hear, and we like to try and support our customers. So if you're one of mine and you ever need any help, you know where I am. Take care, all the best.